Hey friends, it's Asher here. I wanted to make a video today to try to explore something that I think is affecting other people as well, but it's hard to say for sure, right? Because we all have our different mental problems and issues that we have that only we know what they really are. And what I started to realize about my depression and the anxiety I was feeling was that part of it wasn't part of me, that there was an outside force that was affecting me somehow, and I couldn't see it. I couldn't explain it, but I was watching a video a while back of another empath maid, and she was talking about this is Elizabeth April again, someone I think is an amazing empath, very a younger empath that's just really amazingly gifted and smart. And she was talking about the fact that she used her third eye on a bus once to look at a woman who looked odd to her for some reason. And when she closed her eyes and she looked at this woman, she saw that there was an entity attached to her, right? That was not in the physical world, but probably a 4D entity that she couldn't see because she's in 3D, right? And so that just clicked something in my intuition, like bing. And I realized that I had attachments, and I had also known that because I had been scanned by another empath years before. So when I realized that things can attach to us, and they'll make you kill yourself if you don't know what it is. I mean, I have friends that have killed themselves, and unfortunately, and I started to think that that could be the thing because at some one thing that Elizabeth April said was that the voice that comes into the back of your mind, it just tells you to do something real bad, to hurt yourself or something, and it doesn't make sense at the time. And you usually don't follow that voice because it's not something that you feel is from within you, right? Your heart. But I used to get that voice too, and that's what made it click in for me when she said that was that that voice is the entity or whatever that thing is, that negative thing that's feeding off your loosh, your negativity, your fear. And it's telling you to kill yourself because that's what it wants you to do. Okay? And if you're in the wrong headspace and you don't know what's going down and you are in a low vibrational mood, and I'm not saying this is every person that has any mental illness, but I'm saying that it's definitely some of them. Because what I started to realize deep down inside of my soul was that I am perfect, and there's an imperfection inside of me that either I created, an outside force created, or it's been done through conditioning over time, right? Or it's genetic. So there's so many different things that are swirling around here. But what if it's you think it's genetic and it's not? That's my point. Is we don't haven't fully explored this realm of wait a minute, because I live in New York, and I'll tell you, I've seen some disturbed people in my day. I have seen people from the realms, all through the realm of insanity you could see in New York if you walk around long enough. People talking to themselves, people talking to things that aren't there, people acting irrationally, people acting violently and irrationally. Every aspect of it you could find. And you see that there's such a wide range of it that, and what if all these people who we threw away in society because of they couldn't function inside of it are being fed on by these entities, some of them, you know? What if that's the case? And I only started to realize that when the voice in the back of my head was telling me to kill myself over and over and over again, telling me to just kill yourself. It'll be easy. It'll end all the pain. You'll be at peace. And the voice, when it comes, is soothing, right? It's not violent. It's not angry. That's the dark. That's the dark. And what you need to do to defeat that is you use the weapon that is love, right? These entities can make you hurt physically and mentally, so they can hurt you. They can make you suffer real bad, and I lived in that suffering for a long, 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 long time. They got their goods out of me, unfortunately, until I realized that the way to defeat it is with love, not anger, not hatred, not violence. And you can't really do much violence to something that's not there. But what you can do is learn how to shield yourself. You can learn how to ground yourself. You can learn to grow in your own power. Raise your vibration is the most important thing, right? If your vibration gets to a certain level, it's like the dark will lose interest in you because they can't get that much out of you anymore. You're not scared. If you're not in fear and you're living your life as a living prayer, like I was talking about, and you're walking through your life in the moment, in your power, sovereign, then they're not that interested in you anymore because there's not a lot of fear coming off of you. And they could just find someone else that they can manipulate a lot easier because you figured out the game. You figured it out. And you got out and you stepped off the karmic wheel and now you're free. Or you're freer. Just real quick, when I left the Matrix and I realized that what it really was all about, my friends most of them stopped talking to me, right? Like I was saying. Why? Because the Matrix will defend itself. It will expel you because you know you're awake, and so you cannot wake more others up, right? You can't share the information that you have, or at least start the conversation, so that you get expelled. And it's the same thing that's happening now with YouTube being censored, censoring certain voices on one side, censoring certain information they don't want to get out there. But that's the problem with the internet. They can't control it fully. That's the hive mind right there. In other words, if I'm just coming out and giving information that I know to be true and sharing that information for free, I'm not asking for money or anything else, and you do your research from it and you find out in your mind, or you feel in your intuitive self that it's true, and then you spread that true information, that's power. Because I'm not spreading disinformation, I'm spreading the truth that I know to be real. And you can make your own decisions on if you feel that that truth is real as well. So when I was in the worst depths of my suffering, I would hear this voice. Not during a panic attack, but just when I would feel depressed. And I had an incident happen to me one time where a very painful thing happened. I was agitated and in a conversation with somebody, my girlfriend at the time, who was a narcissist and had been playing off my emotions for years and making me suffer. We broke up. And so at that point, I was ill. I had lost my job in that same year. And then my girlfriend now is breaking up with me. So it's like a trifecta of pain and suffering. And I had an episode where I was reaching for a bottle of pills that was nearby me. Thank God there was no pills in it. But if there were pills in that case at that point, I wasn't in complete control of myself. There was some other force had control over me. You call it a dissociative episode where you're actually not all there in complete control of what you're doing for some reason, right? And that never happened to me before. And so I realized, wow, something's going on here. And that was like part of the journey, was that realizing that you're going to have to redo your life about and put boundaries in place with certain people that you can't have around you anymore, that are vibrating at a low negative energy rate. And that might be your parents, right? That could be your sister, who you just completely don't see anything in common with and have a very difficult time relating to. I used to think that I was adopted because I was so different than so many people, everyone in my family. I was so different the way I saw things and viewed the world. And when my political views changed, then I was like a black sheep. So nobody wanted to have me around. And so that's the Matrix expelling you because it wants you to conform. You could have all those things back, the love of your family and friends again, but only if you bend the knee, right? Remember in the 300, when the big king comes to conquer the 300, he says, all you got to do is kneel. All you must do is kneel. That's it, right? Well, no, we don't kneel. We only kneel to God. So we don't kneel to another man. And so don't ever subjugate yourself. It's rough. It's not easy. It's not easy when you got a voice in the back of your head telling you to kill yourself and there's no one there to help you. What do you do with that, right? That's when you go deep inside yourself to your center space. You meditate and you find the stillness point in you. And you gotta quiet the fucking chatter down to get there. And it's definitely hard if you're living in a certain places that aren't, let's say, the quietest place, or that your world is full of swirling emotion and people that are driving your psychosis in a way, right? Because if you're around negative people or people vibrating low, then you're going to be struggling to vibrate high. And even if you know how to shield yourself and build your own shield, which you should know, learn to shield yourself. There's other things you could do because you can transmute things. Anybody can, really, if you practice it. If you're around somebody that's very angry, we learned this in communications classes. If you are in a conversation, right, and one person begins to raise their voice one octave up, just a little bit higher with the intensity, it can raise the level of the whole conversation into an aggressive form, right? That's how people get hurt, because one guy raises his voice, the other person doesn't like that. They sense the person's negative vibration, and they mirror that vibration back to the person, because a lot of empaths do this too. And then that's why a lot of people don't like empaths, because I'm going to mirror back to you what you show me. And you won't like it probably, because you're going to see, then later you'll think, why did I not like that person so much? And it's because they were showing you who you are, how the world sees you, and you don't like it. Because it's hard for us to see ourselves, right, clearly. We don't see ourselves how others see us usually, do we? And so that's a big part of it, isn't it? So the reason I really wanted to make this video was to talk about quickly the fact that when in 2012, when the shift was coming, and I didn't know what the shift was then, I was actually dying. I was sick. And after my girlfriend dumped me, I was in the bottom of the hole, basically, right? I was pretty much, I guess you could say you bottomed out, but you never know that you bottomed out when you actually do, because you're just so deep down at that point that you don't see an end to it. But that was kind of my bottom, and then everything just flipped the script. But when you're like at that point in your life where you're in your 30s and you're like, wow, I think I'm gonna die. Like, what do I do? I guess I gotta get my mind around that. It's pretty much over. I weigh 151 pounds. I can't eat much food or anything, and I don't see a way forward to live. And the doctors just basically said, all right, well, you be well. Go home and, make your plans. So how do you go from that depth out of it into the light? And maybe part of it was just the fact that I was just happy to be here after that, and anything else was like the icing on the cake, right? That's my experience. But so my point is that think about, if you're really suffering for so many years and nothing has helped you, then you need to start to think about, is there maybe some kind of an entity that's feeding off of me? And if so, how do I defeat that enemy, right? Because you can detach it. There's different ways to do that, as far as I've heard. You can naturally do it just by getting your vibrational level up. And that's hard when you got something that's on you, maybe, that's feeding fear into you all day long and making you feel ill at ease or whatever, and maybe giving you body pain or whatever. Uh, that's not a great feeling to have, right? To know that for years this thing was attached to you, maybe, and you didn't even know. Um, you can go to different energy healers, crystals. You can use crystals. You can experiment with different things using crystals and meditation, using energizing crystals with your palm chi, right? Your palm power, making chi ball. You can, if you concentrate your palm energy, you can make like a chi ball, right? You have power in your palms, which is your chi energy that flows out from the solar plexus center, right? If you study Qigong, that's what that study entails, using your energy, your chi energy from inside as a healing modality. And there are some powerful, powerful people that have studied these modalities for many, many years in China and other places that are amazing healers. So I think what's going to happen soon is there will be so much more healing going on that's holistic, that's dealing with these modalities like Qigong and different healing modalities that people will use. More healers will come out. And I'd say if you really think that there's something attached to you, the best thing you could do is raise your vibration. Maybe get some protective crystals. Start toning. You can use throat singing as toning, right? Where you sing out of your throat in a certain vibrational tone, and you can go on YouTube and find throat singing, which is also can be used as a healing modality to activate your healing, I think. I've been trying to do throat singing for about a year or 6 months to a year, and I'm just experimenting with it right now, but I noticed that it activates my chi in my palms greatly. And so uh, when I get deep into the toning, it also feels like it's rejuvenating the body. And you could picture that happening also if you're doing it. So, um, most of all, I want people to know that, when you're suffering down in the hole, it's hard because a lot of times you feel like you're alone in it, right? And there's no one there to help you, and there is people there, but the answer is in you. And so you have to do the hard work, and it's not easy. It's hard, and that's why some people just check out because it's too hard, and it hurts too goddamn much. Excuse me, Lord, but it hurts too much, and it's difficult, right? And sometimes the only way that we begin to change is on the precipice of losing everything, or your life even, right? Like where I was. And something happened where the energy shifted, and my aunt helped me just a little bit with a healing hands modality healing, which just gave me enough of a leg up that I could get back on my feet somehow. And through the grace of God, of course, too. Because I give all grace to the Lord, because I know that in my mind, I know that the Lord spared me in that moment and in other moments where I thought I might not live, because I had another purpose to fulfill. And I don't know if I fully fulfilled that purpose yet. And I'll talk about that at a later time, because there's too many things now that have happened that I can't see clearly why I was led to go certain places and at certain times. But right now I feel like a great peace has come over me. I found a center space peace that I have never felt in almost all my life now. And I think part of that has to do with the new energy that is coming in. If you study the Schumann resonance, which is the energy flowing into us now, and what's happening, it's spiking off the charts for a long time. And it's the white light energy that's so bright on some days that I've literally woke up feeling completely like, what just happened to me? I feel like I went 10 rounds in the boxing ring and I'm half dead. And then there'll be other days I wake up feeling light as a feather. I wake up completely wide awake, conscious, my mind functioning sharp, like almost as if you don't even need a cup of coffee. Like you just, it's like 5 a.m. Boom, wide awake, ready to rock. And before, I would take me hours to wake up years ago. I could barely get up out of bed some days. I was so out of it, you know? Take me half an hour just to get up. So the energy now is completely different. It's high level gamma force, I think, or gamma level, something of that effect. It's different because the Earth's in a different part of the galaxy right now than it's been in. And the last time the Earth was in this rev around this way in the galaxy, there were no human beings even here on Earth. So think about that. We're on Earth now with this energy, and we don't know where it's taken us, but we know it's taken us to a better place than where we were. And I'm just going with that. So it's the new energy, vibrate high, and that's it. That's it. Put love out of your heart. Spread love deep out of your heart to all people. Use the violet ray to transmute anger and fear into love. You can do that inside of yourself and others, because I've done it already, and I know you can do it. So, and that's all about forgiveness. That's it. Forgiveness and love. When you can find the person in your life that you think hurt you the most, whether that's your parents, a boyfriend, someone, whoever it was and whatever they did, it doesn't matter as much as picture the person in your life that you're holding the most resentment for whatever the reason, and forgive that person and send them love. And then cut the cord of the tie that binds up them to you. Then you're completely free. If you speak to, you know, I always find stories like this. There's once in a while you'll see a tragic story where like some kid is murdered by somebody, right? And the mother of the person that was killed will go into the courtroom and publicly say that I forgive that person, right? And I remember when I was younger and I'd see people saying, wow, I'd say, wow, how could that woman do that? I'd be ready to pull the freaking, you know, electric chair on this guy if it was my kid and they did that to him. And it took me so many years to get my mind around that concept, because when you do that, you release the incident from yourself. The pain of it is gone. And the fear of it and the anger is gone. And then you're at peace. Because if you lose a loved one, that always is a painful thing. Of course it is. But the loved one wouldn't want you to spend the rest of your life suffering because of them, would they? And if you think about the fact that we reincarnate over and over, then you know that your loved one has come back and is living another beautiful existence, and you just don't know where they are yet, but maybe you'll find them again. Who knows? You will. You'll see them again. So know that, and you'll look at death in a completely different way, because it's not an ending. It's just a transition. And when you face death before and you haven't died, then the darkness of it is off of you, because you don't have fear of it anymore. You accept it as something that will happen at some point, but you don't do it with fear. You welcome it, in fact, as a transition into a new place. And when you look at it that way, celebrate that person, right? Remember them with a kind thought in your heart, but don't suffer over them. Don't cry over them. They're in a better place now than you are. So, in their next life, maybe. So, and you're going to see them again. But, you know, each person is in your life for that time, for that specific reason, and then they're not there anymore. And then you need to move on and meet the new people that are going to teach you the new lessons, and the new family you might meet. Who knows, right? We find family all in different places. And sometimes you find more family that's not your actual blood, right? then who is your family? Sometimes you find that. So that's it. It's early on a Saturday here. It's quiet. The city just went dead quiet. So I feel like the violet flame is over us. We transmuted a lot of this anger. I see so much anger, and I feel the anger of all the people now. And it's hard. It's hard. It's a hard time to be an empath right now. And I realize that the reason we're here is to transmute this anger and fear as much as possible, to hold the light, to be a beacon of light in this darkness time. And that's why I think my life was spared, because I'm supposed to help others now and help them find a way out of the darkness that I was in for so long. So I hope that something that I said has helped somebody. Sometimes you feel like maybe no one's listening, and that's okay. But if it only even helps one person, then it's worth doing to me. So I appreciate everybody. I send love and peace to you. And remember, forgive and love everyone, even those that have harmed you in the past. Forgive, love, and release. So God bless you. Peace.